Right. Yeah, cool. One thing which has happened between episodes, which I had not realised, is that you can actually talk to the characters down here. So let's have a word with you. Couldn't help but notice here you've been eyeballing the disfavoured symbol lit around camp. Actually, it's hardly a symbol, it's just a scroll. That's true, but it used to be the pride of the Graven Ashes Legion before Kyros made them deface it. What happened? Word has it that Ash has been under more scrutiny than the other Archons, seeing as he took a stand against Kyros in the past. Even though he bent knee in the end, that doesn't place him above suspicion. Kyros and the other Archons keep him on a tight leash. Ash's troops impressed the growing empire, but Kyros made them sacrifice everything they were up to this point Ash surrendered. They've been disfavoured ever since, fighting to earn back their honour. I guess that's why you don't cross the Overlord. Kyros holds a grudge with a mean, jealous streak. Go on then.
What do you need? If you insist. I'm a Scarlet Fury. That should raise some flags for you. It means that I'm good at killing, and more importantly, that I enjoy it. What I won't enjoy are the pleasures of funerary rites packed with weeping mourners. Someday I'll fall in battle, and then they'll roll me into a mass grave or heap me atop a shit-stained wagon. One more anonymous, knife-riddled piece of meat. Until then, I plan to take whatever I can from life and have a little fun along the way.
Life? What life? As far as I'm concerned, it didn't exist before the chorus. There was some girl on a farm wearing my face and talking with my voice. She wasn't me. Sometimes she would sneak out at night, take a scythe and have some fun with the livestock. Our shared interests began and ended there. When the Scarlet Chorus swept through my village on their long trek from the bastard city, that was when I finally woke up and I buried my old life. I took red vengeance on anyone who'd wronged me and found the freedom I could only dream that was out there. What are your parents? My mother ran a successful farm and I worked it for a number of years before I found the chorus. She was a hard, bitter woman, acted like the world owed her something. She never talked about my father, though I figured it was a thing or two about him later on. He was a merchant from the Northern Empire, took a liking to her and she him. He stayed around only long enough to get what he wanted. But never mind him. My mother never had what you called taste, so he couldn't have been terribly influential to me if he did stick around. Did you ever wish you could do things over and end up somewhere other than Kyros' army? That's a naive question I've ever heard. Kyros is everywhere. If you aren't in the Overlord's army, you're being trampled by it. Of course I could have laboured on the family farm into my maturing years, married some dolt and littered a nursery of squealing piglets. Having my body torn into pieces by smaller versions of me sounds like fun. Then one day, when I decided enough was enough, I'd slit my husband's throat over breakfast and run to join Chorus anyway. My way saved a lot of time. Verse smooths back the feathers of her hair and shakes her head with a smile. You're a killer, better stick with the chorus. At least you understand. The chorus praises and rewards the thing inside me that I would suppress in civilized company. Life is too short to repress every desire, right? Especially if I have anything to say about it. I gained a reputation point. Apparently. How did you get conscripted? How did I? I think you have the wrong idea about me. The chorus didn't take me as a sobbing maid. I strode into the camp and enlisted. Someone tossed me a dented blade. I lived through the initiation, spent a week butchering my neighbours and moved on with my new kin. I did not waste time with goodbyes. My mother had long since died and the rest of my family were louses. The girl I used to be, even she knew she was worth more than all of them combined. What's the significance of the feathers? We're getting awfully chummy, so I guess you deserve a story. My mother kept a messenger bird, Winterbeak. She was an angry old bastard, spoiled from living a high life. Squawked in my window every single night. Pecked my fingers while I fed him, only the fattest, juiciest mice. Yes, I am still streaming, Sir Joshua the Great. Welcome back. Probably only for another hour or so, though. When I left the farm to join the Scarlet Chorus, I wrung that ungrateful little fucker like a dish rag, plucked his feathers and gave his carcass to the mice. It felt like justice. She slides a crimson feather from her hair and spins it in her fingers. I also like how the feathers catch the breeze. Helps me keep my balance, especially when I'm moving fast. She slips the feather back amongst the others and smooths it back. No questions about your past. That suits me just fine. I'm not much for comparing family histories if I can avoid it. Tell me about your time with the Scarlet Chorus.
The Scarlet Chorus is mostly for madmen and peasants with rusty daggers, but it's also a little niche of freedom that I never had. Once I survived training and met my Scarlet Fury sisters, I saw a different side of the howling mob. For new recruits shoved to the front lines, training means surviving the first battle. Anything beyond that is for the fighters who show potential, whether as blade dancers or arcane madmen. There's nothing in the world like getting put through the paces as a Scarlet Fury. Every day is a test of your commitment and passion. Failure means death. The first few weeks were the hardest, but also the most rewarding. I earned my name, picked up some quality weapons, and met my sisters. The elite fighters of the Scarlet Chorus. Your typical Horde recruit fights with a rusty spoon and a chip on his shoulder, but the Scarlet Furies are, well, different. We focus our madness. We coordinate, we kill, we dance. It's like art. Imagine a sculpture that twisted in weird, beautiful angles, and then gutted you too fast for you to realize what was happening.
If you think a simple farmer from the Tiers would name her child Verse, I suggest you visit my old village. Most of them were working around surnames like Barrel or Fish. Not the most creative bunch, she smirks and shakes her head. The chorus takes your name away. Whoever you were before, you aren't that person anymore. Then you earn back a name through great deeds, usually murderous ones. That's why you see choirmen walking around with names like Stinkmouse or Face First. There's probably a good reason for it. The voices in Barrack gave me this name. When the Scarlet Chorus runs howling into battle, he doesn't hear war. He hears a symphony. And when I fight with blade or bow, he told me that my music stands out louder than anyone else's and contains too many parts to be easily defined. When you least suspect it, the Archon of Secrets can be downright charming. When I was just a kid, it didn't take me long to realise I was a natural. I could pick up a rusty kitchen knife and skewer a rat from across the room. The Scarlet Chorus gave me an opportunity to further educate myself. My sisters were always a bit surprised by how quickly I took to different fighting styles. She frowns for a moment, then shakes off whatever she wanted to say.
What do you need to know?
Before, you hesitated when you brought up your fighting styles. Why? Noticed that, did you? It's a matter that I'm not used to discussing, mostly because I don't know how. I mentioned before that I'm good at picking up different weapons and fighting techniques. The truth is, I'm better than good. I could flay a man so cleanly that I'd leave a single strip of skin behind. You wouldn't even need to be tied down. That was one of the first things I discovered about myself while joining the Scarlet Chorus. The voices in Barrack recognised it in me as well. That's why he singled me out for the Scarlet Fury training. Go on. My sisters were like the masters of the fighting forms, but since they died, my style has changed. Almost like I can kill as they did. I could pick up a bow, a lance, anything really. I could tear someone to pieces with a weapon I'd only watched my sisters use. I don't know what it could mean, and that worries me. Who are the Scarlet Chorus leaders? Well, the voices in Barrack is the spider at the centre of the web. He acts like the army belongs to him, and he only leads it because Kyros. He only lends it to Kyros because it suits his purposes, both of which are true. The rest are all offshoots of the voices, like the Fifth Eye. Once you get to know the rank and file, the Scarlet Chorus organise around a motley bunch of gang bosses who call the shots. What do you want to know? Tell me about the voices. He's a madman, but they never stopped me from following his orders. Even in a legion as cutthroat as the chorus, you know better than to get on the voice's bad side. People who cross him, or just people he meets, don't tend to survive the experience. If he ever seems disorganised or lost, it's because he's channeling one of the personalities he's devoured over the years. His mannerisms shift over to someone else, someone who's probably long since dead. Better to die than become a part of the voices. What makes him so powerful? He's the Archon of Secrets, and he didn't earn that title lightly. People say because he knows more than every sage in the Tiers combined, and that he can think 1,000 steps ahead of the other Icons. It would be putting it lightly to say he's never alone in that disproving helmet of his. If you make secrets of your business, I guess having other people constantly whisper in your ear is a good thing. I usually want people to shut up, but to each their own. Tell me about the Fifth Eye. A walking nightmare, that one. I couldn't begin to guess who lives under the armour and speaks with that reedy voice, but I'll tell you what I know. When your world is built in secrets, it pays to have a few extra eyes. The voices in Barrack has eyes in abundance. Some that he keeps close, others he sends out into the wilderness. Whomever the Fifth Eye was before he came to the Archon's service, he's now just a half-mad, jabbering speech hole. A bodily function, in other words. An eye. Wait, Barrack's eyes are people? Maybe they used to be people. Whatever they were, they're eyes now. Folks like to whisper that the voices in Barrack takes his servants and cuts all the extra parts they don't need. She makes a quick snipping gesture with her fingers. I once heard the voices said the Fifth Eye in a tent together. The voices kept screaming, Redundancies, redundancies every time, and another gout of blood would spray on the canvas walls. I can't even guess what he was cutting out. How many eyes does the Archon of Secrets have? The number keeps changing, either because it grows or rumour doesn't mean shit. 3, 7, 19, some even say all of us are eyes and we don't know it. She shakes her head in thoughtful disapproval. Tell me about the gang bosses. A boss is anyone who can rally enough support to kill the previous boss. They cling to command until someone gets wise and stabs them in the back. Tipcap leaves the filthy lambs. Locks the rusted harps. Sharp used to lead the bone boys. Couldn't say where he ended up after they broke his legs. Waterwheel orders around the fairy hunters. Halls, for shit, leads the lazy Malkins. Then Scurvy Queen, Fingerfood and Wild Gash collectively lead the ladies of the Perpetual Strangulation. I'm forgetting at least a dozen more. I've even led a gang or two in my day. They never survive very long, so no point in getting attached. You led a gang? Don't act so surprised. I can crack a whip better than any of the daisies of the disfavoured labour camps. But I was never that interested in the power struggle of the grunts and scabs in the middle. I wanted to stand at the top like an apex predator. Here I am. So when I got tired of gang, I disbanded and let the other bosses fight over the new recruits. That much amused me, at least. Some of my old mates are still alive and hanging around, wherever they ended up. That'll do for now. Bye. Reputation ability unlocked. First loyalty ability, death from above. Hold on. Launch Verse into the air, allowing her to unleash a series of well-aimed arrows into the target from above. Each of these arrows strikes true and has armor penetration. Once per rest. Oh, so it's a very limited option. You have something else to say. How did you do that? Verse looks at you with a quizzled expression. Do what? Back in the Archon's war tent, you cast an edict as casually as reading a supply shipment. How did you do that? Well, nothing really. Now's not the time to play coy. You spoke words that could lead to the deaths of hundreds. Take a moment to feel proud of yourself. I'm not trying to make you feel uncomfortable, it's just worth recognising what you've done. Not only are you Tunan's Fightbinder, you're the mouthpiece of the Overlord. Gives me plenty of reason to stick around. You're going places, and I want to see where they lead.
What do you need?
Oh, I could duel you. That would be interesting. Talk later. Don't want to do it now. Oh, for goodness sake, more.
At your service, Fatebinder.
First bows with an added flourish. You really? Loyalty 3? Well, you are as well.
What do you need?
I don't want to get too bogged down speaking to just one or two people. Oh, I see. That just...
At your service, Fatebinder.
Okay.
What do you need?
That's just a standard talkiness. What's up, Barek?
You look as if you have something on your mind. By all means.
Placing his weapon to his side, Barek salutes you. The joints of his armour groan in protest.
What can I do for you?
I'd like to know more about you. I am the line your enemies cannot cross. All other details are meaningless. But I suspect that you have a thirst for details, so ask away. Did you seek the trade of war, or did it find you? Both, I suppose. I knew fighting was in my blood, and the disfavoured offered me a chance to use my skills to bring peace. Otherwise, I would have wound up as a brigand or an enforcer to a crooked merchant. Barrack taps his scabbard, looking away in thought. You think Ash and his legion bring peace? That's cute. But it doesn't hold water from where I'm standing, big guy. I've seen them spill as much blood as any Chorus gang. You've clearly been too busy stacking villages and stealing crops to notice how a proper army conducts a war. We sow order, not discord. I won't say nothing. Enough of this. You're clearly making us look foolish before the Fatebinder. Right choice. May I continue my story, or do you plan on interrupting again? Barrack waits until Verse makes a rude dismissive wave before continuing. The disfavoured needed recruits in anticipation of the march south. They offered to care for my mother and brother as long as I stayed with the Legion, which is a better guarantee than you'll find anywhere else. I was an elite fighter as far as most were concerned, though still green by disfavoured standards. Luckily for everyone, my skills improved under the Iron Marshal's rigorous training. Tell me about your name. Barek is a shortening of any northern surname, which has been passed down through the generations since the Graven Ash assembled his army. I go by it because I wear it with pride. The proper form is Barraconan. Beyond its age and association with the General's Legion, the name of Barraconan has no great titles or associations. I hold no claim to a great house or legacy, save for the disfavoured. They are all the kin I need. What's the story of your armour?
It is a symbol of Kyros' will. one that I am not likely to forget. I found this armor. Perhaps it would be better to say that it found me during the Edict of Storms.
I proclaimed the edict. Where were you when it struck? I had taken to battle knowing full well the edict was approaching and the people of Stalwart were prepared. In spite of every setback, my sense of duty compelled me to march on the stronghold in the heart of the realm. Our march was a hasty one. A cohort of disfavoured soldiers vanished in the second year of the war, among them the daughter of Graven Ash. After a long silence, we learned that she was held in the fortress of Sentinel Stand. Go on. As we surrounded the Citadel, I heard the opening peals of thunder, as did the scout I was busy trying to kill. Then the winds hit like an avalanche. Many of us begged Kyros for deliverance. What else were we to do? The winds knocked the legs of our offensive out of under us. All the decorated soldiers I brought to the battle were swept up and dashed to pieces, their armour and bodies mixing with the dirt of tornado that spun in maddening revolutions. A piece of the Citadel wall broke off and nearly crushed my skull. I only remember a few scattered moments from the storm, like the flying bits of bronze and iron cutting my flesh, and the severed limbs of falling soldiers tumbling through the air. Eventually, I woke up, thinking myself trapped under the rubble. When I rose and felt like I was buckling under my own weight, that's when I realised I was struck, right and truly struck, inside this heap of scrap. Looks like pretty solid protection. That would be an understatement. If only it protected me from foolish questions. Barek regards you in a way that you can't exactly tell if he's rolling his eyes. A fallen sigh escapes from his helmet. Do you handle your own repairs? I try to keep the surface oiled to slow this spreading rust, and I bend plates from time to time, but repairs? Maintenance? No. If you have any ideas how to better maintain this situation, I am open to discussing them. Back to my questions. By all means, Fatebinder. As with all disfavoured, I assume you grew up in the Northern Empire? That is right. I grew up in the Battle's Rest. They trained at Forced Resolution before they marched out to support the second cohort. I hope to spend my rusting years in the threatened shores, unless of course I die in glorious battle, which would be preferable. My mother is good with the soil and my father with rings. He spends much of his time away in one merchant's errand or another. Still, I am lucky to say they are both alive. Tell me about this, favoured. We are the Iron Legion, the warrior elite of Kyros' fighting force. We could easily lose count of the hours extolling our glories. What is it you would like to know? Nothing. Except it's greyed out. That's going to mean that I'm not going to click on it again. You seem like a more than capable soldier. I trained with spear and shield in my youth, but gave it up the day I earned with disfavoured iron. I can still throw with some accuracy, but it's challenging these days. He knocks twice on his helmet. Why? Are you interested in a sparring session? I heard rumour that the Ash has an unbeatable sword-fighting technique. Nothing is unbeatable. However, I'm not a mind to share Ash's trainings to an outsider. I mean no offence. Alright. We'll need to travel with you a little bit longer, I think. So, let's do some travelling. Let's go to the Scala Chorus camp. Ambush! Your path is blocked by a small group of Vendrian Guard. And go no further until you deal with them.
That's far enough, Fatebinder.
A woman's voice booms atop a nearby outcropping. Flashes of aquamarine body paints peek out from under her loose-fitting traveller's garb, and her outfit is festooned in braids and knots of sailor's line. Flanked on either side by warriors dressed in Vendrian Guard regalia, the woman leans on her elaborate, bladed staff pulsing with arcane energy. A swathe of blue fabric rests over her arm.
In accordance with ancient customs north and south, I offer and request a delay of blade. There are matters we must discuss without fear of reprisal.
The woman bows deeply, lowering her hand in practiced display of etiquette. The warriors by her remain in a ready stance, their nerves clearly on edge. In accordance with the ancient customs north and south, I abide by this truce.
As is our custom, we are ready to kill to defend our lands, but we kill only in fair battle. We don't slay our prisoners. We know this isn't Kyros' way, but we must have hope. A few of my kin have gone missing, and though they may have perished, I have to inquire on the off chance they still live. If Captain Tarkus Deimos still lives, we would negotiate for his release.
He was the guy that had the soldier, or the other guy who I thought was actually called Darkus. No, he's alive. Darkus with the chorus now. I have no reason to hide that.
Then if we see him again, it will have to be as enemies.
She looks to the warriors to either side of her, shaking her head. Yeah, that is what I did with him, isn't it? Yeah, that's right. Gained 1 fear. So fear, I guess, goes the other way than wrath? Or is fear another trait that I just haven't seen anywhere else?
If I may make one more inquiry. What of Palok's Tyrell? Did he survive?
Another dead Oathbreaker, whomever you ask about next, so sure, nothing can be done. He's dead. She nods slowly, saying nothing for a long moment.
My apologies, Fatebinder. I had a terrible feeling this errand was in vain from the start. I had no expectations that our friends could be saved, as I'm sure the time for swapping prisoners is long gone. But at least I know of what became of them. That'll have to be enough.
Sorry, did not find what you were seeking. I'm going to be polite, even though these are bad guys. Technically, they have broken the law. I am the law. No, we're under truce.
Then all that remains is for me to thank you for hearing me out. In accordance with our ancient customs north and south, let us part with peaceful accord.
She bows curtly, never letting her eyes leave yours. Before turning to leave, a moment later, the bodyguards turn to follow. Is that you guys saying you want to talk?
You look as if you have something on your mind. By all means. What can I do for you?
No, that's just my way of talking to you. I think it's if they have a speech bubble here.
On it.
Oh, I don't know.
Spotted something.
What up? Oh, over there. Well spotted. Oh no, it's here. Hello. Right, so I really want you stealthing. I'd also really like you to be using your bow. And then you can use a different stance. Now you have one which is really active. Adds bonus damage to next attack, equals 50% of the damage received from attackers. Or accuracy. I'll have you using accuracy. And I want you gaining in subterfuge, which I assume you gain from just sneaking around.
I can't.
So hopefully that's what we get from this. Right, this is just the ambush area, isn't it? So we probably won't find much here. Oh gosh, she really is slow. Grasslands of the Tier stretch far throughout the land. Much of that remains uninhabited and unclaimed by any faction. Alright, seriously, how do we train up subterfuge? Because I don't want to be just crawling around all the time. Determines a character's ability to move unseen throughout their own environment, to detect and manipulate hidden traps and devices, and to open locked chests and doors. It also used in dialogue. I think we are going to have to do subterfuge running around. Alright.
I'll stay downwind of our enemies.
Let's move on. Onwards! To chorus.